タバコを吸わないと思います。じゃあ4番どうぞ。
メアリさんは毎日日本語を話すと思います。
はい、毎日日本語を話すと思います。はい。
メアリーさんは今晩or夜？
夜。
メアリーさんは夜うちに帰らないと思います。
あ、うちに遅く、
遅
く帰らないと
思いま。
思いますす。はい。うちに遅く帰らないと思います。
メアリーさんは夜遅く
帰らな
帰らないいと思います。
はい、帰らない。はい、帰らないと思います。いいですか？じゃあ6番どうぞ。
メリーさんはあまりコーヒーを飲まないと思います。
はい。
メアリさんはよく映画を見ると思います。
goes to see movies, so 見に
行く
と思います。
はい、見に行くと思います。
はい、見に行くと思います。
So
Yeah.
she goes.
見ると思います would be, I think she often sees movies,
Yeah.
but goes to see movies would be 見に行くと
I
思
was
い
just
ま
kind of
す。
thinking in English because we're
Yeah.
like, you gotta go see a movie.
Yeah, so, yeah, but they're two different things. See a movie and go see a movie, right? Because one could be happening in your house with a video player.
So, number will be メアリーさんは結婚をしない。
Is not married, so not that she will never get married, but that she's not married now. So 今結婚していない。
Okay.
結婚していない。
メアリーさんは
結婚していない。You don't even need 今 if you use the ている form with 結婚 because 結婚していない means is not currently married.
Okay.
結婚していないと思います。Right?
So メアリー
結婚しないと思います。
She won't
I
marry.
think she's not going to get married. Like she never wants to. Ever.
メアリーさんは結婚していないと思います。
はい。Okay. And that brings us to the point that we had discussed a little bit last week, that you can do the ている and ていない forms of anything just as much as you can do the straight する and しない forms. So ている ていない you know, for those て forms works also.
Okay.
Okay, so 結婚していないと思います。Okay, 9番どうぞ。
メリーさんはつけしさんが好きと思います。
Okay, what comes after
好きだ
ski? There you go. 好きだと思います。
好きだと思います。
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
好きだと思います。Yeah. So anytime it's a non-adjective or a noun, you need that da as your connection to the と思います。
What do you mean by noun?
Like,
Noun plus.
学生だと思います。I think she's a student.
Okay.
ナンパスです。
はい。
メリーさんは忙しい。How would you do with it's an E?
With an E adjective, do you need anything else?
No.
No, just
Okay,
plain.
メリーさんは忙しいと思います。
はい。
メアリーさんはいい学生だと思います。
はい。じゃあ12番。
メリーさんは背が高くない
はい。
と思います。
はい。背が高くないと思います。Notice they specifically said not tall, They didn't say short, right? Because there's a difference,
Yeah.
right? You know, 背が高くない is probably still taller than 背が低い,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, Mary
はい。
さんは静かだと思います。
But it says not
Oh.
quiet, so. So how do you make that negative?
Oh, 静かじゃない。メリーさんは静かじゃないと思います。
はい。
Okay. メアリーさんは1年生だ。1年生じゃないと思います。
There you go.
じゃない。
1年生じゃないと思います。
That would be she is.
That would mean, I think she's not a freshman.
But if it's
1年生だと思います would be, I think she is a freshman.
Okay.
Yeah.
メリーさんは高い。
Yeah. Okay, じゃあ part B. You ready to move on to the next one?
Mhm.
Okay.
No, what's this?
Make a guess about the person or place below and answer the following questions. So let's just read the examples real quick. Who
Mhm.
wants to read?
I'll read it.
Okay.
この人は日本人ですか？
日本人だと思います。いいえ、日本人じゃないと思います。
Oh,
So they're just giving you a picture, and you're just saying whichever you want to say you think about, you know, whether, so like you're looking at this guy and do you think he's Japanese? はい、日本人だと思います。Or you think he's not Japanese? いいえ、日本人じゃないと思います。Right?
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
どうぞ. So let's do the way we usually do, where like you just ask the question and you answer it. So now you ask the question and let Ryan answer.
山下先生はいい先生ですか？
はい。山下先生はいい先生と思います。はい。
いい先生
だと思います。
はい、だと思います。はい。じゃあ2番どうぞ。
有名ですか？
有名ですか？
いえ、有名だと思います。
Is that a yes or a no?
No.
No, he is yes.
But you said だと思います。
I don't know.
What's the negative for 有名?
Oh,
What's the negative of です? だ.
だ
Da is the simple short form of です. Positive form of
じゃない。
です. There you go.
So, 有名じゃないと思います。
Exactly. Okay.
Oh,
いいですね。
I forgot.
Yeah, 有名じゃないと思います。はい。じゃあ3
I
番ど
should
う
have
ぞ
just。said he was a celebrity. Make it easier on myself.
But it's good practice to practice the negatives, since
Yeah.
those are harder to do.
Okay.
有名じゃないと思います。はい。
You gotta ask him.
Oh,
はい
頭がいいですか？
No,
Number
3番。
three.
3番どうぞ。
Oh, 暇ですか？
いいえ、暇じゃないと思います。
はい。はい。じゃあ4番どうぞ。
頭がいいですか？
はい。頭がいいと思います。
はい。If you wanted to say the negative, what would the negative be for that?
よくない
よく
There you go.
頭が
よくない
良く
と思います。
So E is still EE in the positive,
Right.
and then it goes to the
Then it
irregular.
goes to the よくない
So when they say 頭がいい, could you shorten it to いいと思います? Or do you have to say 頭?
For the answer you can.
Okay.
Yeah, いいと思います。頭がいいですか？はい、いいと思います。Or いいえ、良くないと思います。You can shorten it to that.
Okay, because you already know it's
Because
stuck in
you
the
already know you're talking about 頭.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So unlike English, you know, you can't divide up the word intelligent and only say half of it in your answer.
Is he a gent?
But in Japanese, since it's a phrase rather than a single word, you can actually
Nice.
leave out part. Okay. So, 良くないと思います。いいと思います。はい。じゃあ5番どうぞ。
背が高いですか?
Yes. 背が高くないと思います。
Perfect.
Maybe like
Right.
背が低いと思います。
Yeah, you could do that, but 背が高くないと思います is more likely
Yeah.
answer, you know, because they were asking, is he tall? So no,
Yeah.
he's not tall is probably
Yeah.
a more likely answer, unless he's just extremely short. You know,
Well, I mean, it's Japanese.
right, yeah. But like, you know, 背が高くないと思います would be,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think he's tall. So, you know, but if he's like 4'9", then yeah, 低いです。
はい。
Okay.
OK。
Ask away.
どうぞ。
忙しいですか？
はい、忙しいと思います。
はい、どうぞ。
結婚していますか？Do we know that?
They've never introduced
They've
it, so
never.
it's a total guess. It's up to you if you feel like saying yes or no.
いいえ、結婚していないと思います。
Right, that works. See, it's good practice to do the negative, so どうぞ。
お金をたくさん持っていますか？
いいえ。お金をたくさんも
持っていない。
This is 持っています。
持ってい
So,
ます。持っていません。Oh,
so short form
No,
of いません would be 持っ
Is this the
て。
weird one too?
It's ています shortens to ていない。
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the weird one. Okay, so お金をたくさん持っていないと思います。
はい。So just remember that います is a ru verb. It's いる. So います。
And then
You
you
know,
drop
you
the
drop the ru. So います, いる, いない.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're you know, just juxtaposing いる, いない. いる, いて, いる, います. You know, for all of them, you just drop the ru and add the new
I
suffix.
need to make a chart for
Yeah.
all the conjugations.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Number 9.
okay. たくさん持っていない。
よく食べますか？
はい。よく食べ
What's the short form? Dictionary form. So.
食べる
はい。食べる。
Oh, just 食べる
Yeah, just 食べる。
Dictionary form. Okay.
Yeah, dictionary form.
到底ですか？
はい。よく食べると思います。
はい。
Okay, okay.
よく食べると思います。Yeah, that dictionary form, the reason I make you guys learn that in the first place, when we first start learning the must forms, is because you need it again,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's not just dictionary form, it's also short form present tense.
That's what threw me off because they say short form, like, do we drop something or is it just a dictionary?
Yeah,
Okay.
so when it's verbs, it's truly just the dictionary form.
Okay.
With adjectives, you're not so used to the dictionary forms of adjectives, so that's why you kind of have to think about it a little bit, because, you know, the adjectives, you just drop the des entirely. Non-adjectives and nouns, you keep the da for short form,
Okay.
present positive.
Yeah, because they have it for Ubers, but they don't have one for Rus. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they expect you to just
Just
know.
know. I'm like, okay, okay. So,
Yeah,
よく食べると思います。
はい。
Okay. よくスポーツをしますか？
いいえ、よくスポーツ、sorry。あまりスポーツをしないと思います。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ、11番。
フランス語を話しますか？
いえ、フランス語を
It changes from u to
し
Ah.
Oh yeah.
Hana
Sanai.
Oh.
Hanasanai.
Hansugo or hanasanai to omoimasu.
Hi. Remember what we talked about? The
Yeah.
u, I, a, right? Dictionary form is u, like hanasu. Mas form, hanashimasu. Hanasanai. Right? So if you're doing like a, I, u, e, o, hanasanai, hanashimasu, hanasu. And then we haven't learned hanase, hanaso forms yet, but they exist.
How do you
Joy.
keep all this like grammar like straight in your head?
I need to make
Practice.
myself a chart too
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah,
That's
charts
how they-
are a really
I
good
should make mine.
tool for now. You know, you should definitely make charts for yourself
Yeah.
for things like this.
This would probably be a good OPI too, to like just have like a person and be like,
Describe.
What do you
Yeah.
think of this guy?
like, we could draw people. I don't know how good you guys are with art, but we could draw people, and then we could be like,
We can use an anime character.
We-
Just put an
well,
anime
yeah, or
character.
we could be like, I think he does this. Like we can give our drawings to each other and ask.
Oh, true.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Do you mind if we do that?
It sounds like a good idea.
We could do that for the OPI. Make cruddy drawings and then give them to each other and ask
Yeah.
them.
Bring in
Yeah.
a character next week.
Yeah, if you want to like each, it doesn't even have to be something you draw. You could cut something out of a magazine if you'd rather.
I'll
and
draw
just
mine.
bring-
I'll draw mine.
Okay.
I'll choose
Just
my
bring
favorite
it.
character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ever. Okay.
Yeah.
I bring in some of my
Okay.
Yeah.
drawings.
Yeah, we can like bring in pictures too.
Yeah, you could bring in any picture you want and then make the other people guess what they
And
think
also
about
like
that
this
person.
is
この人はどう
this
です
is
か
a good practice for like the other chapter too, because the other chapter was describing people.
That's right.
That's true.
Yeah.
We can do
so
both.
you could do a combination of
Of
both
like you
things.
think
You're
and like
smart,
you
girl.
just
You're smart.
When you're asking what do you think of somebody,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
when you're
So-
asking what do you think of somebody, would you say, その人はどうと思いますか?
どう思いますか?
どう思いますか?
Or
Okay.
we could play that. What's that game where like you're like, does your character have long?
Oh, guess who? Guess
Yeah.
who?
Wait, guess who in Japanese now?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what works better for a game like that is if you've got an array of characters that have
Different.
a lot of similarities to one another, but everybody's just slightly different. So like 3 have long hair, 3 have short hair, 3 have big eyes, 3 have small eyes, but not all the same, you know? So like, you know, you can't narrow it down with just 1 or 2 questions because
Oh,
there,
yeah.
there are at least 3 people that all have
Yeah,
any
that's-
given
That's
characteristic.
how Guess Who is.
Yeah.
Is that like a,
Is that the thing where
like
you have like
game?
You have,
characters
like-
and you're like, oh, does your character have like
Oh.
green eyes? And you said yes. So you put down all the ones that don't have green eyes, and so that way you have
Right.
to guess.
Yeah.
them.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, I got the all clear for that board game. If we like bring it in the learning lab, we could play it there. If you say it in Japanese.
Pokemon?
Anything.
Oh,
Any game.
Oh, okay, cool. If you're doing it in Japanese, you can play it in the lab. Cool.
That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, if anybody
I was
has a
thinking-
game like that, because
I don't
We
have
can
that.
we can just buy the game
You could
and
use
just like
any game,
draw the
yes.
pictures, I guess,
yeah,
and then just make
You know, like Pictionary.
yeah.
Pictionary.
Pictionary.
So yeah, if you guys want to do something like that, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
No.
We don't always have time to do that much of it in class, but you guys could certainly do it on your own when you're in the lab.
Yeah.
Are you going to lab today?
I know I can. Probably.
Okay, let's move on to the second picture,
Okay.
unless you feel like you've practiced this enough.
No,
But
can
I
we
think
do
it's
it?
good to
Yeah.
keep going. So, どうぞ.
Okay. You.
ここは日本ですか?
Oh, hi. ここは日本だと思います。
だと思います。は
How
い
do you know?。
日本だ
I
と思い
don't. I
ます。
say that's why I think.
Yeah, exactly. It
Oh.
could, yeah, could be a lot of places,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
日本だと思います。はい、どうぞ。
有名なところですか?
No?
Just practicing the grammar. You don't have to.
はい。
Right.
有名だと思います。
はい、どうぞ。3番。
空気はきれいですか?
空気は
空気
きれいくないと思います。きれいじゃない。
じゃない。
きれいじゃないと思います。暑いですか？
はい、暑いと思います。冬は寒いですか？
冬は
冬。Like
Winter.
In the winter. Do you think it's cold there in the winter? This
Aye.
beach place.
はい寒いと思います人がたくさん住んでいますか人がたくさん住んでいますか
人がたくさん住ん
で
Wait,
で
how would it conjugate? It would be like
住む
住んでいる or 住んでい
Oh,
な
okay.
い。
いいだね住む or
人
住む
がたくさん住んでいないと思います。
Okay, so yeah, 住んでいる、住んでいない. Anytime you've got the te imas
So
form,
it's, you always conjugate the
you always
iru.
just conjugate the iru, leave the te form alone.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that doesn't help.
Okay?
I know, definitely.
Yeah, it gets better once you practice more. You just,
Mhm.
keep practicing.
ここの人はよく泳ぎますか？
はい。よく泳ぐと思います。
はい。
夏によく雨が降りますか？
いいえあまり雨が降らない
降らない。
降らない
はい
降らないと思
降り
います
ます。降らない。降らないと思います。はい。Yeah, there's something really weird in the picture there that I can't identify.
Oh, it's an Uber. Uru.
Yeah, 降る、降ります。降らない。Yeah. Can anybody tell what the heck that's supposed to be in the picture there?
It looks
Where?
like a, I don't know, maybe
What?
those floating
Wait,
things?
where?
Right here.
Yeah, right in
Looks
the
like
very
a
center
bird.
there.
I know.
Like an ostrich.
Yeah, I know, it looks like an ostrich.
Maybe those things that you ride in the beach.
Maybe,
And
yeah.
there's a floating thing. I know, I was looking at that too.
Strange
Yeah, very strange, right?
It's an
I think-
ostrich getting
yeah.
its tan on.
Yeah, I
Just
think
kidding,
they
that's not
very
true.
deliberately chose a picture that's very ambiguous so that you could guess either way you wanted on any of those questions. 'Cause you really can't tell
Probably is,
where it
probably
is
isn't.
or where, or anything about it from that picture, except that it's a beach somewhere.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, so do you guys want to practice some more to omoimasu?
We can do four.
For part C?
Part, or we can do four. This is the same one.
It's kind of the same stuff, they're just taking it to the next step, which
Okay.
is to be a little bit more creative, because they're not giving you the question, you have to come up with your own. So, and this,
Oh, we
this
have
goes
to-
back to your question before about how to ask,
Uh-huh.
what do you think? So, like, to read the example, why don't you read A, Ryan, and let Ellie read B?
大
The
A
example.
okay. 大学の食堂
はい
についてどうですと思いますか
はい. So,
つい
and
てどう
to break that down, について is relating to or regarding, right?
ついて
So it's the ni, like the particle ni that means like to. So について is literally regarding the thing before the ni. So regarding this college cafeteria,
What do you
right?
think?
大学の食堂 どう思いますか? How do you feel about it? What do you think about it?
So,
Okay, so 大学の食堂についてどう思いますか? What do you think of the
安く
安
て
安くて。
おいしいと思います。私はよく食べに行きます。That statement's not true. A さん
That's not true at all.
A さんは
この大学。
どう思いますか?
And then you
There you
can
go.
just say whatever you want, right? So the idea is that you can get more creative. So like she says 安くて美味しいと思います。よく食べに行きます。So if you have a different opinion, like you've been buying Chick-fil-A lately, you might feel like 安くないと思います right? 全然安くないと思います you know, or あんまり食べに行かないです。行きません rather. 行かないんです is, we haven't done んです yet in here. No.
行かない is not
行かない
Short
would
form.
be short form. So
Okay.
行きません。行かないと思います I don't think I'm going to go there very often. Yeah, for the future tense,
Oh,
you know.
So we
like,
don't say 食べに行かない.
食べに行かない if you want to just do casual form, yeah.
Oh.
食べに行かない I'm not going to go there.
But we're not doing casual form, right?
Right now we're not.
Okay, then never mind.
But あまり、食べに行きません you know. 高くて、美味しくないと思います or something, whatever you want to say, right? So do you see how this gives you more room for creativity? That's kind of the point.
Okay.
So, you okay?
I'm alright moving on.
Okay, I'll ask.
You want to?
Yeah, it'll be like この町について
どう
ど
Yeah. この街についてど
う思いますか?
うはい。
静かでつまらないと思います。
And then you can ask Ellie
Oh.
what she thinks, or if you've got more to say, you can.
No, there's nothing to say.
Yeah.
エリさんはどう思いますか?
たくさんレストランがあると思います。
はい。レストランがたくさんあると思います。Yeah, I think there are a lot of restaurants. That works.
Okay.
いいですね。すいません、皆さん。
このクラスについてどう思いますか?
このクラスは面白くて、たくさん学びました。学びます。学びます。
はい。
あ、
or たくさん学ぶと
学
思い
ぶと
ます。
思います。I was trying to figure it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
たくさん学ぶと思います。
はい。
エリさん、
姫野。
姫野さんはどう思いますか?
私も
Wasn't he supposed to ask me?
No,
The-
because I asked the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the two of them for this
Oh,
one, and then he's going to ask you the
okay.
next question.
Alright.
Yeah.
私もこ
はい
のクラスが
はい。
面白いと思います。
はい。いいですね。
先生はすごく優しいです。
ありがとう
はい、好きです。
はいじゃあ、4番どうぞ。
4番?
はい。
Number 3.
Oh, 3番.
Yeah.
Sorry. I forgot we were not on 3番yet.
Okay. 日本語は
日本語
について。
Oh yeah. 日本語についてどうです。どう言いますか。
どう思いますか。
どう思いますか。日本語についてどう思いますか。
楽しいと思います。ランさんはどう思いますか。
私も楽しいと思います。
That works. Is
Okay.
there more
If you want to
wanted
add something
say?
to that, how
Yeah,
do you
sure.
do it?
You could
で
say
も
それ
難しい。
Yeah, でも難しいと思います。Or you could say
I was gonna say 大変。
大変だと思います。Yeah, だと思います。
大
Maybe
変だ
like
と思います。
楽しいですが
はい。
難しいです。
Yeah, that
Okay.
works. Or 楽しいですが大変だと思い
大変と
ます。
思い
はい。
ます。Okay.
So, anything like that.
Uh-huh.
じゃあどうぞ。
Oh.
4番。Right.
Mhm.
Okay. メリーさんとたけしさんとに
Not a second と。Just メリーさんとたけしさんについて。
についてどう思いますか。ごめんなさい。
優しい人二人は
はい。
優しくて
優しくて。
頭がいいです
頭がいい。
と思います。
はい。
二人は
はい。
二人は優しくて頭がいいと思います。
はい。
はい。エリさんはどう思いますか。
面白いと思います。
Okay.
It must be interesting since
Yeah.
we're learning so much about
Right. Yeah.
I've heard 二人とも。
Yeah, you could say 二人とも.
とも
Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Futari.
That's what I meant.
二人 is two
So
people.
like would be
二
like
人とも would be both people.
futari tomo would be like wa and then your adjective.
No, but も takes the place of the wa.
Oh.
So 二人とも面白いと思います. Or whatever you want to say about them. Yeah, 二人とも可愛いと思います. Yeah, or whatever. 二人とも日本語が上手だと思います. Whatever you want to say about them, right?
Well, Takeshi is Japanese, so he's good.
Right. Yeah, so that, yeah, kind of assumed. But what was I going to say? So do you see how they're kind of taking you step by step? This is a very good example of, they give you exercises where all you're doing is conjugating verbs back and forth. And then they give you sample phrases to turn into sentences. And then they give you sample questions to ask and free-form chance to answer. And then they give you just phrases to turn into questions and also turn into answers. And then, the next step after this would be to just give you a topic and let you free-form talk about it, any way you want it. So they're trying to give you building blocks here, to give you, it's English, our language teachers in general call this scaffolding, where, like if you're trying to build a building, you don't just build, you build the scaffolding so that the workers have someplace to stand while they're building the walls.
So we don't
Go from
fall.
Right, so you don't fall.
And you don't
Go from
get
the top up.
sued.
Yeah, so you don't topple off the building, right? So,
Okay.
It's kind of the same thing. They're giving you the stepping stones, the scaffolding to be able to get to a place where eventually the idea is for you to be able to just think of any random topic you wanted to talk to a friend about and say, 日本の歴史についてどう思いますか? What do you think of Japanese history? Or whatever topic you felt like asking about, and to be able to actually have a conversation about
It's just
that
hard
topic.
because like nobody want to talk to
Right.
each other.
Right, well, that's part of the problem with any language class that's in your native country instead of the
Yeah.
country where that language is spoken.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's just something that it's hard to get around. We've got more tools in the modern era than we ever had before. You can join those
Too shy to Skype.
talk things like on Skype or texting or whatever.
It's just then they like
We
throw
should do
things that
Skype.
like I don't know, and then
We should.
I freak
Right.
out and go back to
Why don't we do Skype? Do you have Skype?
and do your thing. Yeah.
We should just do a convo and just practice between
Yeah,
us two.
there's a good idea that you guys,
And like-
without even involving.
Can you multiple?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do a
How
group
many?
Skype,
Like 12 people.
and if,
Yeah, there's not
With
more
Yeah.
than that's more
and you can do like
Once- you said like
video
once a
Skype
week.
if you want, where you're seeing
Like
each other's
part-time
faces.
At night.
You guys want to do
Maybe
video
Friday.
Skype?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at night. Should be at
And-
night.
Yeah, and that way, even if there's a time when, like, some of you can't be in the language lab,
Yeah.
but if you can pick a time that works for several of you, then however many people are available could
Okay, I'll
Skype
get a
together or
Skype
whatever,
one.
and keep practicing more verbally. And that way, you know, you don't have to worry about, oh, this person doesn't know what I have or haven't studied yet. Because that, making the leap from practicing with your classmates who know the same things you know, to practicing with a native speaker who doesn't know what you do or don't know, and therefore
Yeah.
can't, you know, limit their language to just what you know how to say,
Yeah.
that's a scary leap for most people.
Yeah.
So, you know, it helps to just keep practicing. It helps to find a language partner who's Japanese, who is used to having friends who are language learners. So somebody like Hitoshi and Ippei, who are here on this campus sometimes, I think they've gotten so busy with their own classes that they're not hanging out with our students as much as they used to.
I don't think I've met
I
them.
have no
Yeah.
clue who those people
They,
are.
You can get their
Was
stuff
it
and send it to
you, was it your class or the class ahead of you that, like before you, that knew them pretty well?
I think it was the one ahead of us. 'Cause
Yeah.
I met him at the club thing, but I
Yeah.
really didn't talk to him too much.
Okay, yeah, because they actually, like, I guess it was last year, they hung out with my level 1 class and kind of bonded with some of those people and kind of followed them and still sat in occasionally on my level 2 class with those same people, but they've gotten busier with their own schooling now, so they haven't been around as much. But if you can find somebody who is used to making friends with non-Japanese speakers, but they're native or near native speaker, they can help you a lot with practicing this kind of stuff, where if they do say something that you don't understand, you can say, もう一度言ってください. And then they repeat it and you still don't understand it, you can say, what was this part? Blah, blah, blah. What, 何ですか? You know, whatever, if you can repeat back what you heard that you didn't understand, you can ask them that phrase, what, 何ですか? And then maybe they explain it to you in English, maybe they could have another word in Japanese for it that you know, and then
They
you
can just teach you.
and then they can teach you that new phrase.
Okay.
And that's another way of learning something new besides just depending on only learning what's in the
Well, don't you know-
textbook. You know,
How would you say I'm learning Japanese?
日本語を勉強しています. I'm studying Japanese.
Okay.
Or 学んでいます would be I'm learning. You know, if
Oh,
you
I
want to
do learn
use
some stuff on
manabu.
like Hello Talk when I'm talking to people.
I
Yeah.
mean, I talk to some people, but I don't know if I want to Skype with them.
Right. Well, and if you're using
girl,
Hello
if it
Talk
was
or
a
any
girl,
of those plans, whatever
I just
Whatever
feel weird
tool
like
you've
talking
got.
to like some 34-year-old.
Well, you don't talk with the 34-year-olds. You talk with the young ones.
Yeah.
It's just the,
Yeah,
the
you-
old ones are the ones who want to talk to me. Like,
Yeah, well,
I should do that.
yeah. Look for female partners.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't get people.
I go on Twitter and find somebody.
Yeah, but, you know, just whoever you find that you can talk to, you know, make sure that they're in it for the language practice and not something else. And, you know, and practice. And sometimes, you know, with like Hello Talk or whatever, a lot of people want that language exchange where you spend part of the time helping them with their English and then they spend part of the time helping you with Japanese. And you can have an agreement that you're going to do it 50-50, you know. Okay, we've got half an hour today, so let's do 15 minutes of Japanese and 15 minutes of English. Or we've got an hour today, so let's do 30 minutes of each, you know. You know, you can, or if you prefer, you can make plans to do, you know, Japanese together on Mondays and English together on Wednesdays or something, if that works better for you.
Yeah.
You know? But it's good to have some kind of an agreement where everybody's clear that this is what you want and this is all you want out of it. And this is not going to be a long distance dating thing. It's just going to be language practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and the good news is it is long distance. So, you know, you can cut them off, right? I mean, if somebody starts getting kind of obnoxious or creepy, you can.
There was only one creepy person. He was the one who's going like Hagushitai.
Oh God. Yeah.
Somebody asked me for my picture, and I was like, no.
So,
Yeah.
the cat,
Well, and
right.
you don't have to use your real picture.
That's true. I did send him another picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
You,
red cat for a while.
I was a red cat.
you were a what?
It was a cat photoshopped onto a red cat.
Oh, okay. A red cat. Yeah. Yeah.
But then
you-
you don't get people talking to you. Like
Yeah,
Joe has
it's a hard
scary.
life,
Joe
right?
I
has
had-
scary picture.
Yeah.
Well, I changed it.
He
Yeah.
chose
I'll
it.
dress nice in my new.
He's spiffy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but yeah, you don't have to put your real
Who's
picture,
Kenneth?
you don't have to use
Oh,
your real
Kenneth.
name. What?
And I was like, who's Kenneth? I was like,
Oh,
it's just
Ken
Ken.
from the other
Yeah.
class.
Boy,
Yeah.
see you, boy. Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
you're like, it's a big boy.
I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, practice with other people as much as you can. And it's okay to build up too. And it's okay to even take exercises from this book and say, you know, take a picture of the page and send it to your friends so that they can see it and then say, I want to practice this with Hello Talk or
That is
whatever.
a good idea. I think
Yeah.
so.
And you could
Let's do
take,
that.
you know, especially like an exercise like this where it is really scaffolded for you. We've already done the bottom pieces. Now you've gotten to a higher level where you're kind of freestyling a little bit, but you've still got some support here because it's giving you a sample dialogue and it's
Yeah.
giving you some suggested topics. And then the next step is number 5, your own topic. You can just pick what you want to talk about next and see how far you can get with it. And their sample is only, you know, A, B, A.
But you can,
If B can keep it going and A can come up with something else to say in response to that, fine, you can keep it going if you want to.
I think
But if you
that's-
run out of stuff to say, it's okay to just say, okay, we're done, now let's pick another topic and do this structure again. Or, I feel like I've practiced to omoimasu enough for now, let me go on to something else. You know?
I think things like that are probably the most important thing for us to focus on,
Mhm.
especially like all the drills and stuff, like even the ones
Yeah.
without like the listening practice, they're probably things that we can do on our own.
Yeah,
And I think, say, probably in class, something that we could focus on a lot more that would help
We should
us,
probably do
especially for
more.
the OPI too.
We
is
should
just
probably do more
practice
freestyling.
Yeah, freestyle.
Yeah.
freestyle.
yeah,
Freestyle.
yeah. So like,
Scratch that.
yeah, yeah, so anytime you guys want to, I mean, you know, 今日でも日本語で話してもいいですよ。わかりますか？
はい。
Just speak in Japanese.
今日でも、はい、
Oh,
日本語で話してもいいですよ。
so it's okay to.
はい、わかりますか？
Only speak in Japanese.
はい、
今日
it's
でも
okay. 今日でも is like even today. 日本語で話してもいいです。It's okay if we speak Japanese even today.
The whole day?
Yeah.
The whole day?
Well, if you, well, we're almost done for
Well,
now,
I have
but
to not
I mean,
space out then.
right, but, well, and that's the thing. short increments at least to start with, because you do start to space out after a while because it's so draining to work wholly in the other language that after a while your brain just cuts to a point where it's on overload and you can't take in any more. And I remember that happening, like when I lived in Japan as a student. I remember one time going to a party at someone's house, and I was, I think, the only non-Japanese person at that party. And after a while, I just couldn't keep track of the conversation in the group anymore. There were like 20 people there, all chattering to each other, and even when I was just talking to one individual, I was hearing the other conversations sometimes, because some of them were a little drunk and getting kind of loud. And after a while, I just kind of was sitting there in a daze because I couldn't follow what was going on anymore. It was partly just language overload, because although I was fairly fluent by then, I wasn't completely fluent. And partly it's just me being an introvert, and it was, I get party overload like that even in an American party because it's just not my thing. But, you do definitely get that with, any language. When you're immersed in it like that, you get to a point where you just can't take any more after a while, and your brain just kind of shuts down and you zone out. But that's okay. And, you just go take a rest and come back and try it again the next day or whenever,
Yeah. Should do that. Should do the
Yeah.
Skype thing.
So
Okay,
you can
well,
even,
you have to not forget.
you can make pacts that, okay, we're gonna set the timer, and for this amount of time till the timer goes off, we're only gonna say things in Japanese. And if there's something you really want to say, because somebody else said something and you wanna like turn it into a joke or something, you have to really think about, okay, how can I say that in Japanese?
Mhm.
That was how that summer course that I took the year that I went to Japan as a college student, that was how our class got as good as we did, because we were the beginner class. We only had about a year of college Japanese before going to that summer program. And that was how we got as good at Japanese as we did by the end of that 10-week summer program, was that we had a Japanese-only rule in class. And there was a little tokinbako, a little like piggy bank in the middle of the table. And anytime somebody slipped up and blurted something out in any other language, they put goju-en in the box.
I bet that thing was full.
Yeah, and the teacher would empty it out every day and just put the money aside. We saved it up over the whole summer, and at the end of the summer, we had a class party with the money.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So you had to have a lot of like 10
Yeah,
cents.
you had to have a lot of goju-en dama, and there were people who would come into class
What if you just
with a stack of coins, and they just put the stack right there because they knew they were going to end up using some of
What if
it.
you just don't talk?
Well,
Yeah.
she didn't let you get away with that because you know how we do the drilling where I ask you.
Oh,
I
your
ask you,
turn, your turn.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She was doing that
Don't let-
daily.
don't
We
mess
we
up.
had a lot of these little mini dialogues where we were supposed to have memorized the basic format ahead of time, and so it was like, 大学の食堂についてどう思いますか? And you had to have memorized 美味しいと思います. And then I'd ask you どう思いますか? 美味しいと思います. どう思いますか? 美味しいと思います. どう思いますか? 美味しいと思います. And it was the same, if there were 10 of them in that exercise, she would do number 1 with every single person, then number 2 with every
gosh.
single person, then number 3 with every single person. And she was doing it fast. So like if you stumbled,
Oh,
she was on to
no.
the next person.
When did
You
you do
know.
that?
Oh, snap.
Do you want to try that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it works
And then we
best
have
with
to put
short
reporters.
ones.
We should do
Why a quarter?
because
Oh, yeah,
more
quarter.
the better.
I think
Well,
pennies.
goju-en is like 50 cents, so a quarter is
Oh,
cheaper.
oh.
The advanced
Man.
classes,
Yeah,
were
but
doing the
different
same
budget.
thing, but they were doing it with a 100 dama each time, which is like $1. So they were really committed. But even with just doing it with 50 yen, by the end of that semester, it was a 10-week summer term, but it was 4 hours of class a day, 5 days a week. By the end of that summer term, we were all a lot more comfortable speaking Japanese. People were making jokes and puns in Japanese. There were all kinds of silly things going on because people had gotten to a place where they were comfortable enough with the language that they could infuse their personalities into how they use the language a little bit. That's a much higher level of ability, even if you don't have all the vocabulary and all the grammar there is to know. Just having that level of comfort with what you have studied is a really cool place to go. And then from there, that gave me the solid foundation to go into my dorm situation in the university and tell my Japanese roommates, "Nihongo dake hanashite kudasai." Please only talk to me in Japanese.
Shouldn't that be our goal then, rather than
Yeah.
just like completing the book?
Yeah.
Would you rather that be the goal?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I'd like to speak Japanese, not just get credits.
Yeah. So yeah, if that's what you want, we might have to slow down the pace that we're moving through the book, but we could have like a designated grammar day where I actually explain grammar questions that you have questions about, and then the rest of the time focus on just speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think the book is pretty much just supplementary. It shouldn't necessarily be our focus as far
Yeah.
as speaking a language is concerned.
Yeah. Well, you need some context.
I mean, of course, we need to learn the grammar and all that, but
Yeah. You need some kind of material as your jumping off point. I know you have to leave. But, but I mean, our topics of what we talk about could be anything. I mean, we could pick something even from lesson 1 as a topic and say, okay, for example, 自己紹介, self-intro. We could all work on incorporating all the things you guys know how to say now into how you would introduce yourself in Japanese, because that's like a key skill. When you get to Japan, what's the first thing you're going to need to do? Introduce yourself to people. What's the first thing your classmates or your dorm mates are going to want from you if you're meeting a group of them all at once? Stand up and do a self-intro in front of the room. What's the first thing they're going to expect of you as the only gaijin working in whatever workplace you get a job in? Stand up and do a self-intro. What's the first thing they're going to ask you to do if you're asked to visit a local middle school and talk to the kids because they've never met a gaijin before? Self-intro. And if you're talking to a middle school or an elementary school, gotta be Nihongo de, right? They don't know enough English to understand you, if you do it in English. So being able to do a good, smooth, comfortable, はじめまして、私の名前は籠田です。よろしくお願いします。私はアメリカ人です。アメリカのフロリダ州から来ました。私は2002年からずっとフロリダに住んでいます。You want to be able to keep saying stuff, and express yourself, whatever it is you want to be able to talk about.
that'd be a good way to practice if you just write like a list of all the grammar points you know and just like try and go over and over and do like a self-introduction, say, okay, I'll say something with this grammar structure, then this one, then this one.
And also just think in terms of like what would you actually want to tell people about yourself beyond the obvious name, age, country of origin kind of stuff. You can go so far beyond that now. I mean, if you're giving a speech to, say, an elementary school in rural Japan, because that's where you're going to be teaching English, they don't want to just know how old you are and what country you're from, that you're from America, they're going to want to know, like, what country did your parents come from if they're not from here? You know, what
you have to offer that they don't know.
what you have to offer that they don't know, what your likes and dislikes are. They're all going to be curious about, like, what do you like to do in your free time, and what sports do you like, and what kind of TV do you watch, what kind of books do you read, do you play video games, which ones, do you read anime, which ones, or read manga rather, do you watch anime, which ones, you know, do you play any games that they already know, do you, what do you think of their town, what do you like or dislike about Japan, you know, they're going to want to know all that kind of stuff. You know, how tall are you? They're going to ask you guys that every time. You know, they're going to want to know, is that your natural hair color? And is your hair really that curly? You know, and you know, they're going to have all kinds of questions and all kinds of curiosity. You know, you got to remember, especially if you end up with, say, an English teaching job in a really remote rural village in Japan, which is very possible. That's what I ended up with.
Is it easier?
It's easier to learn more Japanese that way.
Is it easier to get a job in a small
It's probably
town?
easier to get assigned to a small village than it is to a big city. If you go with something like the JET program, everybody asks for the cities. And there's only a limited number of jobs in the cities. But if you request rural, and you don't care whether it's north or south or whatever, you've probably got a better chance of getting that, because not everybody wants rural. But rural is the best chance of getting really fluent in Japanese, because you're liable to find when you get there that the only people who are fluent in English are some of your fellow English teachers who are Japanese people, but they teach English in the local schools, and it's very likely that some of them aren't even fluent in English. You know, they might be rusty at English. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I worked with some English teachers whose English sounded like they were speaking katakana. You know, and some of them were fairly fluent, but some of them, their English wasn't that much better than your Japanese. You know, and they were teaching middle school English.
Yeah. I know how
So, yeah, so, you know, if you can go in already comfortable enough with the verbal language to start off with, I'm introducing myself in Japanese. Nice to meet you. Hajimemashite. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Korekara kono gakkou de eigo o osheimasu. You know, things like that. If you're able to start with that, you might find that it's easier to keep the conversation in Japanese if their English isn't very strong. And you go around town in a small town like that, and you might find that outside of the schools, you don't find a whole lot of people who speak any English whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, you go to the local mom and pop ramen shop to eat lunch, and you sit there and you make conversation at the bar with the person serving the food, because, you know, you're there alone, you don't have anyone else to talk to, you might as well talk to the person waiting on you, and they only speak Japanese, because whatever English they learned was 20 years ago and they forgot it all. You know? And so, you know, you might find that you learn a lot more Japanese if you are willing to brave the wilds of rural Japan. And
That's
you
so
know,
much fun though. I do like rural.
find that, you know, you won't have some of the amenities you're used to. You know, there might not be a movie theater within 100 miles. You know, there might not be there might not be a fast food restaurant within 100 miles. You know, there might not be anybody to talk to who understands what it means to feel homesick, because they've never lived anywhere but their own hometown. You know, but that's what phones are for. You know, you can get some of that, and you know, you might find that, you know, short of buying yourself a satellite dish, the only TV stations you get are 2 local stations, because some of these, with all the mountains in the way, some of these valley towns have horrible TV reception.
As long as they have Wi-Fi, I'll be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah, you
It's
can
TV.
always, you've got the internet now. I didn't have that when I was in Japan.
true.
I had the local bookstore that also rented videos. And I would go and get my VHS tapes, because that's what it was back then. And I would rent movies and bring that home and watch that when I wanted something to watch, because I couldn't get anything but a snowy picture. I mean, the best reception channel I got, you could sort of see the pictures, but there was snow in the way. Yeah. So, but I learned a lot of Japanese that year, because I went in already fairly fluent, having finished that year in the university, and then went home to the States to graduate, but then went back to Japan. And that year, living in the rural area, I took my Japanese from really good to good enough that I felt confident going anywhere I wanted, anywhere in Japan, because I wasn't going to get lost, because I knew I could always ask somebody for help in Japanese and get help from any stranger who knew.
Mm-hmm.
So, what really freaked me out, it was so funny to me, the local people freaked the first time I said I was going away for the weekend and going down to the nearest big city, because I wanted to shop for some things that I couldn't get in the local supermarket. There were some recipes from home that I wanted to make, and the ingredients were only available in the import shop in the big city. It was about a 3-hour journey to get to that city. First I had to take a local bus from our town to the next larger city, and then from there take another bus and then a train. And they were totally freaked out by the fact that I was going to attempt this all by myself. I lived in Tokyo for a year. This is not big. This is no big deal,
Looks like you'll come back all right.
But for them it seemed like a big deal, because one, most of them would have been scared to do it.
Yeah.
And two, I guess